basically the concept for the podcast is it's called Leah Grow Your Tribe. So Grow Your Tribe, what that means to me is, hey, like it's the whole process of being an entrepreneur. Like, from the daily struggle, the highs, the lows, everything in between. It's just a process and a journey of its own. And I don't think many people realize that, or maybe they do, especially the people that actually live with you and see it day to day, man. It's just up and down, and there's nothing else like it. And it's the hardest thing I've ever done. Like, I've started multiple companies, and it's just like, it's there's nothing else like it, and it's hard. Like they say, if it was easy, everyone will do it. Yeah. And I know for yourself, like, dude, the daily struggle is real, but it's so worth it in the end. It's like,
yeah, I think you can't be a person that needs a win every day. You get knocked down more than you're going to get built back up. But like you said, there's milestones along the way that keep you going. And that's what I think for any business owner, one, taking the plunge and starting whatever dream or whatever idea you have for yourself, it's terrifying. Whether you have financial backing, whether you're set up perfect, it's still scary because essentially you're 100% responsible for this to work. You exactly. Can have employees, you can have people that support you, this and that, but at the end of the day, it's 100% on you. And if you're a person who needs a safety net, it's not for you. But if you're a person who likes to, I always attribute to it and say that there's people who are fine with a 9-to-5, and they're fine sitting at a desk and doing that. And there's tons of people that make an amazing living doing that. And there's absolutely nothing out there. And then there's people who live for the hunt. They live to wake up every day and to be on them to eat that day. And I think those people are they're a special kind of person because it's terrifying. Every single day is terrifying, no matter if you're doing amazing or not, because one, you have this fear. For me, I always attribute to it, like, there was a point in my life where I was broke. I remember that every day.
I've been there. Yep.
So no matter how much success you have or how much money in the bank, you still have that mentality, like, I could be broke at any moment. So I'm going to hustle that day. And that's what I think that's a starting, for me at least, that's where you see a lot of good entrepreneurs, a lot of good people that are starting businesses. They're just hungry, and they either want to learn or they know how to hunt. And that's a big part of it. But, you get these milestones and these highs and these good glimmers of where and what you did for yourself and for your company and for your employees. And that's what motivates you to go through another week and another week. And if anybody tells you they live month to month, no, it's every single day is a new way of waking up and going, how many curveballs am I swinging at today?
I hear you there, man.
Yeah, very rarely you get them right down the pipe, but you get accustomed to it and you live for it, and you get, the stress that you have as a business owner is a lot different than what anybody feels. You're making decisions that are affecting livelihoods, you're affecting your business, you're affecting your goals. So every day, no matter how small it is, it essentially affects you. For us, if we're doing something minute, we take the same amount of pride in it as if we take it if it's a massive build. If we're putting tires on a car, it's as simple as taking enough pride in torquing everything of the bead lock, or taking the same amount of time on doing something bigger than that, because you always feel like you could lose it at any minute.
Yeah, man. It's once you think you have a plan, like for example, like this, and not to get sidetracked, but when we first started this, like when I decided like, man, I want to do this podcast, I wanted to bring you on because not only do you share like your business, like, objectives, stuff like that. What's your latest build? Like, what are you doing in the shop daily on your personal Instagram? But you also share like in depth, like what's going on with RJ, what's going through your head, your struggles, your highs, all that. And like I said earlier, like I compare you, like three guys on Instagram right now. It's you, it's Corey at PPI, and Danny Dixon. All three of you guys together, like I love following you guys because you share so much content that, I think a lot of people just look at the picture on Instagram, but you guys take the time to actually write a caption that actually means something. It goes in depth, it's personal, and you share what's going on. It's not just your highlight reel on Facebook. You share what's going on in your daily life as far as business and life goes. And that's part of being an entrepreneur, is going through the struggles. And where I was going with this is like this week, just for example, like I had it all planned out. Like, I'm going to do this. Every day I have a to-do list. And you're saying with curveballs is, dude, you get a curveball every freaking day. It's like, I thought like this week we had some server issues. Okay, well, and my website went down. I'm like, okay, well, great. I'm gonna have to what I did was I just found a new server company and just pivoted. Like, you have to do that, especially now with COVID. It's like I've pivoted so many times, and something like just, man, you know how it is. Like,
you gotta.
That's business, man.
It's funny, man. It's something I say a lot now because I didn't really know the meaning of it until now, but an amazing woman, Allison Hunter, one of my best friends, Chad, his mother, they did a great job of instilling a lot of different things in me as far as work ethic and different things like that. But one of the things she said to me was, you got to learn to surf. And I didn't, at the time, I didn't really know what it was, but sitting here at 33 and almost a decade later from her saying that, it was, you really have to learn to surf. And you don't know what wave you're gonna get, you don't know when it's gonna come. All you know is that you gotta get on the board. And I said it in, we did an interview for Scotty Files, and I said that exact thing, and it came out, and it's just really, it hits home as a business owner. And I think in everyday life, I don't know, it doesn't necessarily need to be a business owner, but you can take life one or two ways. You're either going to get tackled by that wave, or you're going to get on the board and you're going to figure it out. And we have to do that every single day. And that's one of the, same with, like you mentioned, Danny Dixon and Corey from PPEI. Corey's, and I haven't been able to work with Corey on a personal level, but I know from afar, like there's a lot of things he's had to deal with this last year that are absolutely insane, and he's pivoted and he's moved around it. And Todd Zaccone's a good friend of him, mutual friend.
Yep.
And Todd's, giving me some insight on what he's had to go through, but he didn't sit there and die over it. He pivoted, and his business took a different turn, and he's extremely successful for it. Danny Dixon, same thing. That guy is literally like, when you talk about real, he has no apologies for who he is, how he runs his business, and what he does, and where he's gotten. And I firmly believe that branding now is there's just as much emphasis on being real or having meaning behind it than it is having a cool logo or this and that. Like, I think both go hand in hand. I think your marketing and your social media and things has to be on point and polished. But I also think, like, for me personally, when we reached 1 year and I look back, and you look back at this, you forget a lot of it, but you start to get down this emotional trail of memories. I always talk to other business owners, and I find that there's a common denominator between all of us, is that it doesn't matter what industry you're in, you have the same fears and you face the same problems. And that's what kind of motivates me lately. I spent a lot of my years not being, a person that I felt like was, and not necessarily looked up to, but just a person that, like, you look and you're like, oh, like, that person motivates me or elevates me. And that was like this year of JP. It was great building this company for us. I wanted, now that we had gotten here and I felt like JP was on a level of success, like I was like, personally, I really need to do some digging. I really need to, like, I felt like if I went through this stuff, there's probably hundreds of people that have gone through the same thing. And I'm like, why not be vulnerable? Why not put yourself out there? Why not speak and say, like, listen, you know, like I talked the other day and gone off about how terrified I was to do this build out. And it was the most stressful thing. Like, it was like, we got to a year and I was like, great, everything's great. We're on autopilot. And then, you know, Lindsay really pushed us to do this build out because.
And you're talking about your office there?
Our office, yeah. So we expanded to double the size. So we essentially went from 3,200 to now we're about 6,000 square feet.
Wow.
And it couldn't have been worse timing because we're getting ready to go into season. We're coming off of summer, which we were slammed through summer. So we really got no real break during then. But you're a month out from being in October. And for our industry, it's really time to, you have to sharpen your skills. Anything that's not working, fix, and you really tee up. You start taking appointments. You're trying to get ahead of it. You know that it's coming. You try and get ahead of it. You try and get your clients conditioned to get in earlier. Lindsay drops, hey, let's expand. You know, and I'm like, and I fought it. Like, I really fought it. But I trust her and Alex a lot. And they both looked at me and said, like, listen, we can do this. We can get it knocked out. Yeah. And you know, that's a lot of things. You have to trust the people around you. I'm blessed to say that I have two of the most amazing people up front and the guys in the back and everybody around me. My tribe is as solid as they come. And I heavily rely on their insight, especially when I'm scared of something, because I at this point, you start to try and take safe bets. It's not that you don't want to push something, but I'm now not responsible just for myself. I'm responsible for, you know, half a dozen people back there that rely on me to pay their bills, to make their money. So my app to be a little more daring is not there because it's not just me. Lindsay and Alex, they're the guys that are behind me and they kick me in the pool. And
yeah, like that analogy.
And you sit here and I'm looking and I look at this and I'm so thankful that they did it, and it was absolute hell. But you know, going back to that, that's why I share as much as I do, and I try and share more of those real moments because I resonate with people like that. I think that if you're on social media, you know, why be something you're not? You know, and even if in my personal life, I feel like, you know, my girlfriend had posted something the other day about her not using filters. Mm-hmm. And I read it and I was so proud of her because it's, you know, for me you look at women and they hold themselves up to that expectation that every girl looks this perfect. And for her to take that dive, that's what really kind of set me in the path of saying, like, let's expose the things that we're truly feeling and what we're going through. And for my personal life and for my business life, I want to be an open book, because if I can inspire one person or they can relate to it and go, man, I'm going through the same thing, then I feel like you've done good in your life and you continue down that path. And that's like kind of like our whole like mantra and movement right now, especially with with our brand. You know, the Gotti brand is based off of building each other up. Small businesses have just gone through hell for the last 6 months. You know, you look at your business, you had to completely take it sideways. I remember me and you talking well before this, right? And it was all based on events and getting an ROI off of people and traffic and this and that. And then that hit to like, you're like, well, you could have done one thing and you could have put the kibosh on it and gotten a job at Wells Fargo or something, right?
Yeah.
You could have taken that route. And, you know, it's really cool to be part of that. It's more rewarding to be in that kind of mindset where you really do want to build other people up. You want to build other companies. You want to work with other companies that have the same values, morals. Maybe they're not doing as great, or maybe they just need some notoriety. You know, a lot of people are so stingy. You look at all these big Instagram, you know, with hundreds of thousands of followers and this and that, and one post from them could change somebody's life.
Oh, yeah, I
And
mean, same thing with you. Is like that's why I like following you. Is yeah, you haven't inspired me, man.
well, dude, that means a lot to me, man. That's awesome to hear. And I think that if people start to move that way, you know, we see so much negativity in the world right now. And if you really push your your positive outlook on people, it's contagious. You know, we started something, I don't know, it was like 2 months ago. I wanted to shout out 10 different businesses, all different. Like I had hairstylists, I had
Muffin company.
that's my brother, my little brother. He
Oh yeah,
yeah, he
is it
started
Monster Muffins or something?
Monster Muffs. Like the guy
Muffs,
is,
yeah.
and if you ever meet, like if you look up my brother, you follow him on Instagram, right? He's a fitness competitor, but he's a big sweet tooth guy. Him and his girlfriend created Monster Muffs and they blew up. But you take businesses like that, and maybe somebody that day sees it, clicks on it, gains a follower, but maybe they gain a sale. And maybe because of that, they made $40. But that $40 did something for them. Like you can't look at it as on how big of like it monetizes you. You just do it because you want to support people. And I feel like more than anything, my ROI and what I'm focused on is you do positive things and you do good by not only your clients, but around you. And you drive that way, you're going to get a positive return, or at least at the end of the day, you just feel better.
Oh yeah.
In a world of shitty things going on, you just feel better about doing something good.
The world needs more of that. Yeah, for sure, especially right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. We got sidetracked there. Where do we go?
Oh man, we got in depth. And we're not even on question number one. So we went down that road, but so let's rewind a little bit and just kind of tell everyone a little bit about you, yourself, and how you got started with your company, Jeffries Performance.
So it started probably 3.5, 4 years back. I was an avid, like, I loved side by sides. I owned Razor 1K, several turbos. Like I was in Polaris frenzy at that point. And then I had met through a company that was out here that was carrying Evolution Power Sports stuff. I had met Todd and I had met Jim, and I was in a turning point. So I had been working for this company for a really long time, and very thankful for the opportunity I had with them. It was a completely different, like my occupation. It was we built large scale events. So we were, you know, putting out, like, you work on like the Phoenix Open or Barrett Jackson or Russo Steel, things like that. So we were building events, but my hobby was going out and riding.
Yeah, so you had a Razor back then.
Yeah, a few razors. So at that point, like I had been saving my money because I knew I didn't want to do that forever. I kind of reached kind of a cap in the company I was working for. My boss, amazing guy, he wasn't going anywhere, and the CEO wasn't going anywhere. So it was kind of like you weren't going any more north. And for me, that's always like I always work towards leveling up. And when you reach a ceiling, like for a person like me, it made me hate where I was. And it wasn't anything to do with them or the company, because it was a phenomenal opportunity. I wasn't happy not evolving. So I had expressed my interest in either buying into this one company that was out here, and at the same time, Todd had kind of coached me into what I should be doing. And they were making moves and we were making moves, and together it was a really good opportunity for us to start my last company. I started that one with a business partner, and we went down kind of a different road than we do now. You know, it was more about manufacturing parts and doing high-end builds, but there's a lot of stress with that. Not only is there a lot of stress with a business partner because your ideas aren't the same, and you have some friction there, but you know, like me and Lindsay are very creative, very like we're big on marketing, advertising, branding. Like that was, that's what we really have a lot of fun at. And my other business partner, he's more on the manufacturing side, where it was, cut and dry, very, X, Y, and Z. So it created a lot of friction. And fast forward 2 years, we had built that company and then we separated. And at that point, Jeffries Performance was born. And, like I had kind of said on the last one before you cut off, it was a lot of fear. You spend 2 years building this monster of, what you pour everything you have into it. And then to kind of, quote unquote, get stripped and be back to square one, it was a daunting feeling. It was a ton of, like, man, when I tell you the most emotional I've ever been is at that point. 365 plus days ago, I could tell you every single day what my fears were, because I was literally, like, when I tell you I was on the floor crying, like I was in tears, because you have this, it feels like a breakup, but you also are now restarted. You don't know what you're going to do. You don't know how you're going to go or which way it's you don't know which way to start another business.
Oh, there's multiple forks in the road all the time.
Everything, man. Like it's hell. It's literally hell. I don't wish it upon everybody, but I also think that people should go through that period, because when it gets to the point you are, you respect it. You have to respect where you've gotten. You can't take it for granted. But Lindsay was a huge, like, when I tell you I could not be where I am today without her pushing me and sticking by me, because she could have done a number of different things. At the time, she had wanted to start LG Co. She also had several different options she could do. I mean, she's a unicorn when it comes to marketing and social media. She's absolutely phenomenal. But she stuck with me. She didn't let me give any excuses or like that. She basically came to the table and said, what are we and what are we going to do? And for 2 months, I didn't have that answer. I didn't know. I really didn't know. I really wanted it to be an organic thing. But she was on me. And when I tell you, like, man, she was shipping all the packages out. She was dealing with clients on the phone. I was doing installs at some point, like, because we didn't know where we wanted to go. We couldn't hire anybody because we didn't know what we were going to do. We just kind of took what we could. So we kind of settled in on the idea. We looked around in the industry and figured out, for us, there was a lack in what we felt quality installs. People were making amazing parts. I had, from a few years back, I established a relationship with Tim from SDR, and Doug from TMW, and several other great guys that from day one, it wasn't like recently. From day one, those guys always shook my hand. They were mentors. Tim, every sand show, would sit, talk to me for 15, 20 minutes, talk about what I'm doing, give me pointers. Even Grant from Funko, those guys, big guys that they didn't know me from Adam when we had met, but they had a profound impact on me, because I saw that they didn't see me as a threat. They saw me as somebody who just wanted to do better. And at least what I perceived of it. And they really took me under their wing and they helped me out. Doug still to this day, Tim still to this day, two great people. They're very big in who I am today. But I wanted to be those guys, but on a different aspect. I didn't want to do manufacturing anymore. There's a huge amount of money up front to do it right. Seeing what we did in the last thing, we had done so many things wrong. I knew that to do manufacturing, it had to be a certain person, but what Arizona and the Southwest didn't have was somebody who was taking these premier parts from SDR, from TMW, from CT Raceworks, from all these guys that are vested in that and making top of the line products. There wasn't an outlet to have quality install and and peace of mind when your car left and things like that. So we just felt like we fit there. And I was super OCD, and I'm a clean freak. So having a nice clean shop versus all the grinding, the dust, the welders, everything like that appealed to me much more. And I didn't
Yeah,
have
that
any,
makes sense.
yeah, and I didn't have any fabrication background. So it was like, I think, so we grew into that. And once we knew what we wanted to do, and Lindsay had, you know, for lack of a better put, for a north heading, she hit the ground running. She went with our marketing. And then as we grew, we took one car at a time and we grew what we did. We made sure that every customer that we had, they never left here unsatisfied, unhappy, or questioning anything. They had a ton of communication while their stuff was here. And we basically, I said, what would I want as a client that expects the top of the line?
Oh, yeah.
And we hit that. And that's what we pride ourselves on every day. And that's kind of how Jeffries Performance started.
Well, I think what's cool is not only do you like high performance, like these badass Maverick X3, Polaris Razor, all these other builds, you also do utility builds. Like you just finished the Defender, right?
Yeah. You know, I was like, and that was another one of those things where you're like, I don't know how this is going to go, but I want to do it.
How do you make a utility model look badass?
Exactly.
But you pulled it off.
I really wanted to do something like, because, you know, the X3s are a great platform, Razor's a great platform, but, you know, for us in Arizona, we battle all pretty much all year, but really bad in the summer is dust and heat. And I always want to go riding, and I didn't have anything to ride because I had taken apart my X3, and I didn't want to go, you know, just, it's kind of hard to bite that bullet. It slows down in the summer, but you don't. So I went out and got a fully enclosed North Star Polaris, and it was one of the most, I never thought I'd have so much fun on that thing, right?
A North Star Polaris in the desert.
But North Star Polaris or no, it wasn't, it was Ranger. And that's what started the utility thing, because I was like, well, I can't leave it stop. So we researched who had the best, and, you know, and the S3 boys kill it. Because that's kind of their forte back there. Those mud bogging guys, like, dude, S3 is top in that category.
Oh yeah, they're like the go-to for
so I reached
stuff.
Logan and S3, and you know, and that's, you know, another company. Those guys have been absolutely amazing and supportive of what we do, and vice versa. And I hope they feel the same. You know, I'd text Logan and be like, what do I do for this? And he'd give me the answers. And so we'd build our first utility vehicle, the Polaris North Star. Mm-hmm. And then the Can-Am Defender, I went and drove a Can-Am Defender. And I was like, oh, like it's a much different machine. And Can-Am really, I feel like they hit it on all things. When you talk turning, the space inside, the enclosure is super tight. So I was like, all right. My best friend Chad, he got one. And his dad
got AC on that bad boy.
AC, everything. In Arizona,
oh, yeah.
They let us go wild with those, and it started this trend. We started knocking out those more than we had sport. Like we literally would have like 6 of them in the shop versus X3s and Razors. So it was cool. It was a really cool pivot. It broadened our client base, and I thought that was one of the cool moves that we made this year that I was pretty proud of, because all of a sudden you see on everybody's social media, now they're doing Defenders. Now they're doing Rangers.
Yeah.
I don't want to say I was the first, because I definitely wasn't first, but you see that it was trending more, and it was cool now.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So what kind of tell me a little bit more like your personal background. That's kind of like, I love the journey of being an entrepreneur, and you touched base on like how you started Jeffries Performance. You guys are building performance, models plus the like utility models. Let's go back a little bit on like what was your personal journey like as far as starting the business, but like I remember the days when I was trying to start businesses. I used to work for ATV riders like Harlan Foley back in the day for, I think it was like probably 7 or 8 years, and just trying to get things rolling to where it is now. Just following you on Instagram, like I remember seeing a post you did like about your buddy's truck, and just that feeling of like, man, like this is my dream truck. I would love to have this truck. I've kind of gone through the same thing as like,
Yeah.
man, I would love to have this, you name it. And then you get to that point and you picture it and then you're there. Like that whole journey from point A to point B.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that if you put it out there in the universe, you truly mean it. If you say, I want this, I'm gonna have this someday, this and that, and you do everything you can to reach that goal, life will present the path to that. You just have to want it and be true about it. Personally, I mean, I was a bad kid. I wasn't dude, school wasn't for me. I got kicked out of almost every school that I had been to, kicked out of my middle schools, high schools. And my parents were amazing people. I was just, at that point, between ADHD and, not a lot of respect for authority, I was on a path that, wasn't the greatest. My mother's an amazing mother. My dad is probably one of the best role models you could ever ask for. He's also one of my best friends. But I had no interest in listening to them. And I was on my own. Yeah, I was on my own, I was marching my own beat. And I was, looking back on it now, you can understand a lot more as a lot more advancements in ADHD or, you look back and you realize why you were acting, and it was because you're frustrated. Like for me, I couldn't focus in class. I was either always a class clown, but if you put a piece of paper in front of me, I can't focus and read it. If you tell me something, I could recite it to you verbatim. Yeah. So I'd be sitting in class and I'd be so frustrated that I couldn't be like the rest of the kids, and I couldn't sit down and focus. And I was hopped up on every single medicine and medication you could, Wellbutrin, Ritalin, everything. They threw everything down the pipeline, and I'd either feel depressed or groggy or couldn't focus. I'd become used. So I was frustrated, and kind of started me. I remember in high school, it was when they were expelling me, and my dad was furious. From that moment on, I kind of realized that I'm on my own to figure out how I function. Nobody, I knew something was wrong.
Did you know, did you have an idea of what you wanted to do for a job back then, or where you wanted to head?
I've always been like this my whole life. I've always taken opportunity. I've had a ton of different jobs, man. My first job was at Einstein Bagels when I was 16, and then I got into doing truck accessories and spray and bed liners when I was 18. And then at a certain point, I got an opportunity to work there's a tattoo place out here. It's called Club Tattoo, and they needed stickers made. So I started making stickers, and then I became.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
Yeah, I was, I had a plotter, and I was doing stickers out of my mom's garage, literally on the driveway, man.
Dude, I remember I didn't even know they had plotters back then. I was literally taking wax paper, tracing my logo back then, and using an X-Acto knife with wide electrical tape and cutting out homemade stickers. And then I'm like, oh shit, they actually make a machine you can cut. It does this all by itself. So I hear you there, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, at that point I was making good money, for being 18 and not going to college. I had obviously decided school wasn't for me, and that wasn't a popular decision with my dad. So me and my dad had pretty big falling out over that and a couple other things. So I didn't have a good relationship with my father at that point, but I was making good money. And then I learned really quickly that Chinese outsourcing is going to really hurt the US, because the people that I was doing stickers for had found out instead of $1 a piece, they can get them for 20 cents a piece. So I went from making, X amount of money each week to nothing. And that really that was the first time I really realized that I don't have it figured out. And at the same time, I was living with Chad, who was my best friend, and I missed a rent payment or a couple. I don't know, but his mom, who's amazing, she's like a second mother to me, she taught me a really good lesson, and she evicted me. And from that point, I had no place to live. Like I was back on my truck payment. Like that was about to get repoed. Like I had hit new lows left and right. It was a very bad time. And I remember for a couple of years, I didn't have a truck. I didn't have like when you talk about the truck that I posted, Chad has always worked hard his life and positioned himself, and we're two dramatically different people. But his work ethic is something that I learned being around him. But I remember he was like 21, maybe 22. I'm not sure how old he was, but he picked me up.
Were you like 18 then, I guess?
Yeah, fast forward like 2 years of being stagnant. So around my 20s, Chad had that Duramax. It was an '06 Duramax. It was gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Lifted 22-inch rims. Like I could tell you every single thing on the truck because every time he picked me up, because I literally had no car. He picked me up for 2 or 3 years. When anything.
You were borrowing cars from your mom and your sister too,
yeah.
right?
I'd have to steal them. They wouldn't let me. Like I had to, like my little brother had a little Lancer. I said I would beg everybody to drive their cars or just to go to the gym or do anything. So Chad had and a couple of my other buddies, they would pick me up all the time, but Chad had that Duramax. And I remember every time I got in it, every single time, and like a couple times he had to drive, but I was like, I'm gonna own one of these one day.
Yeah.
And that obviously didn't happen for like 10, 12 years, but I knew that like that was my goal. So I spent a couple of years basically bumming it, not doing anything with my life. And, I had the opportunity to go work for Chad's parents. Some here, some in San Luis Obispo, California. They had a cattle ranch. And that was kind of like my second half of my first half of my 20s. I really got to learn from them work ethic, taking pride. Allison will teach you about being a good human being, and I don't want to take anything away from my mother. My mother's like a saint, but Allison really taught me, being around her every day, that like there's no excuses. You just have to figure it out.
And that's Chad's mom.
Chad's mom. And that's kind of where I was like, you really learn, like, no matter what's presented in front of you, like you have to figure it out. Nobody around you is going to throw you a lifesaver. Figure it out. And then Chad's father, if you want to talk about a guy who, like, he works, his birthday is on Christmas. He works 365 days a year. I think right now he's in his 70s. I don't want to age him, but he outworks 20-year-old guys, 30-year-old guys. And he's built custom houses and ranches his whole life. But he taught me that you can buy and do it the cheap way, or you can take the extra time, do it right, pay for the more expensive quality parts, and you're going to get a better outcome. So he never let me believe that there was a cheaper alternative or an easy way or take the easy path. He taught me to do it right. No matter what it is, just do it right, even if you have to do it twice. So between those two things, I learned a lot of work ethic, working with them and being around them, being around Chad. And Chad basically put a fire poker under my ass and wouldn't let me, I was sleeping on the couch, and he came home from working at like 2:00 in the afternoon. Like I was a waste of life. Like at that point, he never gave up on me. Like I'm very thankful. He never gave up to me, and my family didn't either. They just wanted more out of me and knew that I could. So I guess I would say my break was, I had gotten a job bartending at a club in Scottsdale. And it's my first time. I'd always had a good personality and I had a good network of friends. And at that time, the bar was looking for that. They're always looking for a guest list and a good personality behind the bar. I had never bartended a day in my life. So Jeff O'Neill pushed me behind the bar. I had a couple good friends that had worked there. And I faked it for like 6 months. Like I had no
mixing drinks.
Somebody asked me if they could have a land shark, and I asked them what was in it. Like I didn't even know what it was. So, having nothing and starting that job, I had finally been able to save enough. The first weekend I made like $800, and I literally I thought I was rich. Like I remember, I was on cloud 9. I had nothing. and saved up a little money, and I worked it out. And me and my dad had found like my first car after losing my trucks. So it's like brand new to me. I'm in my 20s and finally buying a car after 3 years.
Yeah, what was it?
It was a Chevy Cobalt.
Oh.
And I'm telling you right now, like I was like I had when I was younger, I had lowered Chevys, lifted Chevys. I had every pageant, and then I didn't pay for them, so they got repoed. Well, this Chevy Cobalt was like my freedom. Like I remember it was when like my dad pulled up in it after we had found it, I paid the guy, he pulled up in it. It was like the biggest freeing moment. And I drove that thing. So working at the club really changed my perspective on, where your money's going to come from and what you're going to do with it. Because most people were making that kind of money and going to blow it on everything. I was saving everything I could. I finally got an apartment, a 1-bedroom apartment. And I just remember it was kind of like climbing out of that. And I got addicted to being able to be financially secure, to having nice things that you have paid for yourself. And I climbed out of that. And I wouldn't have been able to do that without the support of my parents, support of, Chad and his parents. But really, like, you talk about knowing broke, like I knew broke. And I always vowed, like every day of my life, I wake up and I'm like, I'm never, ever going to feel that again.
I hear you, dude. Back in the day, I remember having to put back ramen noodles at the grocery store. Yeah. I'm like, when that happened, I'm like, dude, that's, and speaking of cars too, I had to sell it was a lowered Honda Civic that I got. It was like, I thought it was badass back then. But yeah, I had to sell that to pay my taxes. And that was a big wake up call. I'm like, well, I got to get that stuff straight. Yeah. And people supported me through that and helped me, actually build some credit up so I can actually establish credit and then, get a new car per se. So
yeah, you remember those things. And I think that it's a good, although like I didn't think it was fun at the time, I wouldn't be where I am today without going through those things or being as hungry as I am to do what I do in my business without knowing how broke you can be. And
I think it makes you appreciate things a lot more.
And, it also teaches you that, when I didn't have money, I had just as much fun when you do have money. Money to me, that's not my focus. Financial stability, of course, plays a big role in what you want to do. But when you reach that, like, it's about your quality of life, people around you, people who have supported you, and doing something, enjoying it, enjoying it with your friends, doing things that like you couldn't do because, tomorrow's never promised. I think a lot of people focus on making sure that you reach a level of financial success, but you miss so much of it. I spent my entire 20s working my ass off to get to my 30s and go, where'd my 20s go?
Yeah. So
in my
How old are you now?
33.
33, yeah, I'm 32.
Yeah. So I think it's a good balance, but that's kind of, where the struggle started. After that, I worked at a couple different nightclubs and then got into my position before I was here. So, that's personally, that's kind of in a roundabout way where I came from and what happened through getting to this point.
Oh yeah. What would you say, like, the biggest thing you've learned as far as being like grabbing that success? Like, what is success to you? Because I know that life and business, it's a constant balance between the two. Is like you can work your ass off, but yet you may be neglecting some family life, friends, and other things on this side.
100%. You hit the nail on the head. You can work your ass off and you can make as much money as you want. The people around you are what matter. And I'm still learning that today. I'm still growing in my relationship. One of the biggest hurdles I have in my relationship, and I would say my relationship is close to perfect as you can get. The only problem is me. And
dude, I'm in the same boat.
I'm absolutely glued to my phone. I'm glued to in. emails, I'm glued to Instagram and this and that, because those are the things that intrigue me. They're the things I love seeing how other people are doing. I love responding to emails at 10 at night and my clients going, yo, you're still up? Like I live for that. What I realize, and this is just as recently last few months of my girlfriend really working with me and thankfully not leaving me over it, is that the people around you don't care about how much money you have, about what your business is doing, or like that. They of course want it to do well if they truly support you. They want you. So I would say in my success, and I wouldn't say it's success, I would say in my life, there's one thing I've learned is that you have to, the people that have supported you and been around you, you have to give them the same amount of energy that you give your business. And I would say that's going to keep you successful. You're not going to be successful without support. And why work your ass off and alienate everybody and get to the top of the mountain to be alone? The best things that I feel I can do is that, like, experiences or dinners or things like that, like anything, like I can include my friends and family and my girlfriend or anything. If I get to go do things with people, that's my best feeling. I could care less about, like, they could take my truck tomorrow, and I could drive a Chevy Cobalt. As long as everybody around me is happy and I'm doing things that we're all included on, that's what I feel like success is when you can take care of people around you and you can do the right thing by them. And you can take care of strangers. Doesn't matter who it is. If you have the ability to do the right by people, or you've put yourself in a position where something you could do, whether it's a Facebook post or whether it's a donation or helping a Facebook group or, some complete stranger, like I said, that's what success is. It's not about you being able to buy a Ferrari. I mean, that means nothing to anybody. You're just now a guy with a Ferrari instead of being able to do something with your success. That's where I feel like if you're going to be successful, you need to focus on that the most. And, and supporting people that have supported you. You look at Lindsay. Lindsay supported me, not one business, 2 businesses, over 3 years. Never in a single day has she never rose to the occasion. When she wanted to start LG Co., that was one of my most proud moments, but also like one of the only times I felt like I could truly give her back the same support she gave me. And a lot of people were confused on that. They're like, oh, Lindsay's going to do her own thing. And I was like, I want her to achieve success. She's so hungry and she's got the same tenacity. She's literally like a mini me. And I see so much. She's a lot meaner. Like, she's really mean.
Lindsay's, there's no way Lindsay's mean.
Lindsay's mean. We're all scared of Lindsay. The sweetest pie, but she's ruthless. But
yeah.
When she came to me, like I was so proud of her for taking that step, and still to this day, she manages my business. She manages Evolution Power Sports and the social media and the marketing.
Yeah.
And she does a dozen other clients, and she's busy all day. She works from 6 o'clock in the morning to probably 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And that to me is like what I feel like. I love the feeling that like you can support your friends to do bigger things. And I'm happy that I'm in a position that, like, she can make money off of us. She can make money off other people. She's still in house. Like, I'm very proud of her on that. And I wouldn't have the success I would without her.
I think it definitely helps with being around the people with the right mindset, the same mindset as you, the same, like, this drive to want to be better.
It was so
it's
hard.
only going to make you better.
You try and hire people because, like, I mean, I'm sure like, you get to a point where you're spread thin and you have to take that leap. And that's another scary leap, is hiring people. Now I'm making a commitment that you can pay your bills with the money that we make, right? And you're like, can I make it? Can I not? So hiring and expanding is hell. But, Alex was the second part of that equation. Alex came in and Lindsay greenlighted him. Like, I had a couple other things, but Lindsay, like, automatically, there was no questions asked. She said, Alex is the guy. And I trust her. I was like, I know she's not going to let me down, or she's not going to try and do something that's not going to be better for us. So I trust her. And Alex has been, you know, Alex absolved what I was doing and treats his company like it's his own. He's passionate. He's super creative. He hates being on camera, so he never comes on camera. But he loves this just as much as I do. And like when you start to put those people together and you're excited to come to work, it doesn't feel like work. I hang out with 6 amazing individuals every day. And they work just as hard because they love it. And you're right about that. It's who you surround yourself with. Your tribe will make or break you. If you have, and cancer spreads quick, and you have to get rid of it, or you have to, like, if somebody doesn't want to be there, you have to let them go.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't want to be here, your heart's not into it. Like, you do your thing, and you support them on that. Like, I think a lot of people go wrong is that if somebody's not happy there, if you truly care about that person and they've given you, whether it's a small part or a big part of your success, supporting them in their venture, you know, that's like, I feel like people like are, especially in this industry, like if you move places or if you go off and do your own thing, people are so quick to either judge or talk shit about and not support. Like, why wouldn't you support this person? They literally helped you do this, and now they want to go do something. You're okay with them building you, but not themselves. I think that's self.
That's not right. Yeah.
You know, it's, you know, just like Doug and Tim, you know, TMW and SDR, those guys supported me from there. And I treat everybody, and I try to treat everybody in this industry the same way they treated me. I don't care if you come in and you're like, hey, I have the building 2 doors down, just started UTVs. It's not like, great, man. You know what? I'm going to send you some overflow. Like, let me know if we can help you out, bounce some ideas off. Because I'm not scared of anybody being more successful than me. I'm scared of not being successful myself. Now, that's a challenge, somebody being 2 doors down, but I know that if I show up on game day and I'm hungry and ready to hunt, nobody's outworking me that day, and nobody can outmarket my team and this and that. And like, I hold us to a level that you absolutely have to work hard to gain as much traction as we have. And I pride myself on that. And I'm not bragging about it like that. I know that we have a hardworking team. And if you're going to build something next door, that's great. I don't want to be the biggest. I want to be the best at what we do, hands down. I don't care about being the most widespread name or this and that. I just want to be the best. And I want my clients to feel like when they leave here, that's it. They got an amazing service. They felt like they were part of a family.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good transition into your new brand, Gotti, right? Is like the brand positioning behind that. That's kind of how you came up with it, right? Is like
100%. You know, somebody had told Lindsay that we were going to be ghosts of the industry. And, you know, early on, you take that and like I said, you can let that be a cancer, or you can use it as fuel and propel yourself. And we live for that. Like, my whole life, man. Is that anybody's ever talked shit to me? Like, it fuels me. Like, I get so mad
man.
that I don't stop. And Lindsay and I had, when Lindsay told me that, one, it was upsetting to me because anybody who talks to Lindsay that way, like, that's my right hand chick. Like, that's my little sister, if you would. Like, I'll kill anybody if they try and mess with her. But for somebody to say that we weren't going to be relevant, that was enough for me to say, all right,
Fire.
Here we go. Like, hold on, because a year from now, when I said it, like a year from now, you're going to know. And that pushed us. And you know, I said, every minute that we had a good milestone, or that we achieved something, or we set a bar that we wanted to excel past, we would say Gotti, and we would take that word, and that word really, really fueled us for this entire year. And that was why we made that brand, is because it wasn't about the UTV industry. It wasn't about somebody else. You know, it was about somebody feeling that same feeling. Somebody told you that feeling, or that word, or said that you weren't going to be anything, or not amount to shit, or you weren't going to do anything. And then you turn around and you don't have to be a millionaire to achieve success. You if you get to a certain point in your life and you've built it, you did what you said you were going to do, and somebody else said you couldn't do that, that's what it means. And
let me
I'm
show
proud,
you.
yeah, and I'm really proud of that, because Lindsay and I are we're really, we're at a point where we checked a lot of boxes. I mean, we talked for years about doing a shoot with a helicopter. And
Yeah, that was badass.
yeah, I literally, like, that was a bucket list for us. We weren't allowed to do that in the last company because we couldn't spend it there. We didn't believe in marketing, this and that, or it was a stupid idea. Well, it was an idea that we had, and we, hell or high water, we checked it off the list. And I remember sitting in my car and we were doing, like, I don't know, I was doing like 60 or 70 through the whoops. And then Derek, who's the heli pilot, comes screaming by, and I was like, there's a helicopter in front of me.
That has to be just one of the greatest moments. Like,
yeah, and you're like, and we didn't do it for anybody else. We did it because we thought it would be the coolest thing to see. And those are the moments where you realize really quickly that somebody said you couldn't do that. Somebody bet against you. And when you bet against us, those are the moments we excel at. So that's where Gotti came from, and it was an acronym. So Ghost of the Industry, it's what we were told. And we hope that it translates to other business owners, other individuals, anybody that has been in a position, somebody put the chips on black and you were sitting on red, fine. You want to bet against me, I'm fine with it. But if you excel and you reach a moment of success in yourself, that brand is what it's there for. And it's about supporting other people. It's about shedding light. Same as you in this podcast, shedding light on business owners and getting the dirt and the skeletons out, and really showing how hard it is. It's really easy to look at an Instagram or website or something. You go to a sand show and you see all these great cars or this and that. Nobody would know if you go to the SDR booth and he's got the most gorgeous cars that have gone to everywhere, Dubai, everything like that. But he started out of a garage.
Oh yeah, so much work is put in to build all these businesses. It's unreal, and people don't realize that.
Same with the guys at Evo. Todd had his Porsche business that was amazing, and then you go through 07 or the market crashes or whatever happens. A lot of people. I'm 33 years old. I was old enough to know the market crash. I wasn't old enough to have anything in it. You look at some of these guys that either survived or rebuilt. Guys like Justin and Shock Therapy and Ernie and those guys over there, what they've built. People are so quick to look at these as big box and mainstream and be so against it because
I think it happens overnight.
It's everybody. But nobody knows Jim and Todd, they worked their ass off. They were bending out of an enclosed trailer in a pop-up at one point, going to every single show. Countless nights of evolving what they do. No pun intended. All of these companies that have made it, they started from somewhere, and it's not easy. So it's really cool, for podcasts like this and for the Gotti brand and the interviews and things like that. That's what it is. Let's show people what it really took. Let's hear the stories. And I think that's something that a lot of people, well, personally, I think it's what a lot of people would enjoy. I think that making people real, showing it, and getting
authentic.
Yeah. Let's be authentic. Let's talk about the bad shit that happened. Not hey, here's $1 million companies that are doing great now. Show what let's talk about when it wasn't going good. What was your thought process through that, right?
Yeah. So on that point, and we're almost at an hour mark, just above. So last question before we roll into the quick fire questions. Yeah. On the topic of being authentic and still attracting people to your brand, how do you see that playing out? I think people just honestly like to see authenticity and the story behind things, and people are real. It's not just It's the same thing we've been talking about this whole like podcast is pretty much the whole like subject is be it real, authentic, and you know,
I think
name
that
it. What do you think?
I think that for me, there's more than enough customer base out there. What I want is the same as I want customers that are like-minded, that feel the same way and want the same thing. Because I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I might be 10 people over here and 90 people go somewhere else. But what I think that does for your brand is it brings people to it. You talk about engagement, you talk about everything that you really want to see from social media posts, from Facebook, from every different avenue you're portraying your brand on. You want people to be there for real. If not, you
relate to it.
Yeah, might as well buy bots, because if you do that and you're real on Facebook, you're real on Instagram, you're authentic to your brand, you're going to attract the same people that like you for you, and you're going to end up seeing much more return from that than people following you just to see because they see a polished brand or they see something they don't. Because it also takes one accident for you to show your true colors, for you to lose all your notoriety. Like if you're not authentic, like somebody's going to catch you slipping. And at that point, you've built up something that you can't gain back trust after you've lost it in this industry. And I'm sure several others. It's having a rapport with somebody one-on-one is easy. You can say, I'm sorry, you can kind of fix things, but you can't do it. So being authentic, once you get a name for not being authentic, it's a death sentence to your brand. So why not just be you? Lindsay, I wanted to be an apparel company for so long. I wanted to sell apparel. Like I was like, Lindsay, can we just sell shirts? Let's this and that. And she would look at me and go, you're not an apparel company. No, it's not us. She tells me no more than any, because I come in and I'm probably really annoying to her because I come in and I'm like, stop. I have this idea. She just sits there, rolls her eyes.
Oh yeah.
But that was, I have her to thank for keeping us in our lane. And because we've been so authentic in what we do and how we portray, and even in my personal life, I don't want people around that don't fit me, that don't like me for me. And vice versa. I hold my friends and I hold my peers accountable for their actions. And I don't accept anybody in like my wolf pack that isn't doing the same thing or rising to that occasion or being the best version of you can. And it has no bearing on financial. It's you as a person. Are you waking up every day and doing as much as you can to excel? Are you doing what you have? Great. Do you do things wrong? Or are you negative? Are you dishonest? Are you I cut those people out no matter how long I've known them. Authentic in your personal life, authentic in your business, and I think you're set up for success.
Oh yeah, I think people really like seeing that, and I think it just builds trust, not with you, but with the brand as well, and it just makes the connection between the two.
If you're willing to show the bad parts of you and the authentic parts and the low parts, and explain that it's not all sunshine and rainbows, and Jeffries Performance on Instagram might look like this, and this, but really RJ's freaking the fuck out up front. Excuse me. Show that part so that when you do have a win, people celebrate it with you. They're like, okay, I was literally losing it last week, and now we're finally done with our build out, this and that. People will enjoy it because you were real about it. Why not? Show more of that. Be authentic. Show and don't be afraid to fail. Admit when you fail. My clients know that I'm the first call. We mess something up, and we're not perfect all the time. Something happens, we're the first call. We'll do everything we can. I've lost more money in those situations because I don't feel it's right. We do what we can to make it right before you ask us to make it right.
I think that goes a long way too, and it's so let's so it's a little bit over an hour now, and I don't want to take up too much of your time, but let's head into the quick fire questions where it's maybe just one or two sentences to finish off this podcast episode. But
Yeah.
You answer them how you want, but so first of all, how do you start your day? Like, what's your daily routine? Like, do you have a routine? Like mine would be, I get up, I try to get up before 5. It's been around 4:15, 4:30.
Yeah.
Grab a coffee, read, and then, start my day. What's it look like for you?
For me, I get up in the morning. Normally it's pretty much jet set straight to the shop. I I tapered off of coffee this week. So normally I love getting like a triple shot from Starbucks. It's my vice. So I tried to taper off that. I felt a little dependent on it, so I wanted to wean myself off. But it's normally come to the shop. I try and walk in and I try and ask everybody how their day's going, how they're doing. We all have jokes. We have a light morning, unless we're under the gun, but we try and just kind of get into the groove of things. I come up front every morning, ask Lindsay how she's doing, and Alex. I normally make some stupid remark to Alex like, "Why are you sad?" or like, "Are you depressed?" And he always tells me in the simplest way, no. These very few words, but that's my day. It's pretty simple.
Cool. Would you say you're a morning person or like a night owl?
Night owl. I'm definitely a night owl. I'm trying to be a better morning person, but my girlfriend's a night owl. My friends are night owls. So like I get caught up staying up and then I got to get up. So it kind of hurts. Yeah. But I'm definitely
it definitely makes it difficult when you stay up late, and I don't think you could be a night owl and a morning person. I think that'd be super hard. Yeah. So living in Arizona, would you say like the winters are definitely different there than it is here? But I noticed like you get like to go snowboarding a lot. Do you like the summer heat, or do you prefer it being a little colder?
I hate it being so hot, and it's hard because Jesse loves the summer, loves the pool, loves being in a bikini. That's great. I love the winter. I love winter sports. I love being able to ride. For me, it always means Arizona grows to its full potential in the winter. You get to go riding, dune season. Everything about winter I love that, especially being able to go see snow. I love, between skiing, snowboarding, all that fun stuff. And as of recently, like I went out and visited Todd in Colorado, and he literally backed up to a mountain you can snowboard off of. So I'm like fully ready for winter this year.
Would you guys rip it up out there with the snow tracks then?
Yeah, no, we didn't do that. There was no snow on the ground, but we went like wake surfing and doing a bunch of riding up there.
Oh, really?
Like Todd's one of the best wake surfers I've ever seen. Like,
I've seen him. He's good.
Like, plus some 360 and stuff like that. Like, guy's good.
I'm still trying to get off the rope. All right, last question. Would you prefer dunes or desert? I think that's a difficult one.
100%.
Yeah.
Nothing is like taking one good ride in the dunes, and whether you're the leader or you got a good leader. Because I hate leading. I like having my brain turned off and just cruising, just sailing. But dunes are absolutely amazing. I love desert driving. Like I like fast-paced desert driving, but I definitely like the dunes I think there's something about for our side in Arizona, when you cross the railroad tracks, dude, everything that happens, no matter what, leave it till Monday. You're in paradise. And that's my favorite part of being in this industry is getting ready October. Like nobody's more excited than me to hit October 1 and count the days and get your cars ready. Like when you hit the sand, man, so much. It's literally like an all-day event, right? In the morning, you're hitting Olds. You're going to Sunset. Like you're going to all these different things. And
there's nothing else like it, I don't think.
Nothing like the dunes.
So,
hopefully that answers it.
Cool, man. Well, I think that's a wrap. Appreciate you coming on the show, and I think I know for me personally, I learned a bunch of insight on yourself and some business tips and all that. I think a lot of people will appreciate you showing that your authenticity and being real. And man, appreciate it, dude.
But I appreciate you having me on, dude. And I'm really excited about this podcast. I think you have a phenomenal thing going, your brand, everything going on right now. I'm excited to watch it. I'm excited to see who you have on and everything that you have going on this year, dude. I'm pumped for you, dude. It's going to be the end of 20 and into 2021, man. It's a big year for all of us. So congratulations on you. Congratulations on learning to surf on that one. All right.
Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate
All right,
that.
buddy.
Love it.
All right.
All right, see you, bro. Thanks, man. Bye.